I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Every time. I can't help it. It makes me laugh every time. All right, welcome in, kiddos. Tuesday, December 3rd. It's the Daily Puck Drop. Yeah, we're still doing it. It's unbelievable. We're still rocking and rolling. We are inside the Limback Lumber Studios. Contractors, I'm talking to you. They've got free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY project. Get it done. Go local, all right? This show is local. Everything about this show is local, including a fabulous studio sponsor, Limback Lumbers. They've got the largest stock moldings in the Northwest. Yeah, when I did go in there, I asked them, what are stock moldings? You have to understand I'm an idiot. I don't know anything. And they looked at me like I was an idiot. And then I said, you can tell my wife. She'll know. They've got the largest stock moldings. I kind of nodded in agreement. Oh, yeah, of course. Who doesn't? Old school service. They've been doing it for a very long time. 1930. It's a fixture in Old Ballard, an Old Ballard that is changing, but they've been a fixture since 1930. Give them a call. They're going to take care of you with that old school handshake agreement. If you need lumber and you are in and around the greater Seattle area, I'm telling you, you are going to get no better customer service. I repeat, no better customer service than Mark and Matt and everybody over there at Limback Lumber. So give them a call. Tell them Puck sent you. They're going to take care of you. And when you go in there, by the way, go in there and just look at. It's like a 1980s, 90s sports memorabilia shop. They got newspapers up everywhere, signs everywhere. Husky fans, they love you. They've been giving jobs to Husky players forever. Hugh Millen once worked there. Ask for the Hugh Millen Lumber Special. They'll probably give it to you. Have I given the number yet? I don't think I have. 206-782-3487. Please follow on all the social media platforms. Well, we'll bore you to death over there. Of course, X at Puck Sports. Same thing with Instagram and Blue Sky if you're over there as well. I'll do a better job of posting more stuff there on Blue Sky if that's your preference. TikTok, Puck_sports. Of course, if you're looking for us on Facebook, just search Puck Sports. Also, I'll mention this more and more because we'll have more and additional content coming up very, very soon. But sign up and join the Puck's Posse community membership. There's a link if you're watching the stream. The QR code will take you right there to the Patreon site. You can sign up there. You can also just go to pucksports.com and just and sign up there. It's real easy, kiddos. It really is. See, and I'll even share it for you so you can just see how easy it is when you go to this beautiful website that my buddy Mark created for us. There it is. There's pucksports.com. Look at me. I look. Yesterday's Daily Puck Drop, I look stoned, for God's sakes. Look at all of our fabulous guests that we have throughout the year. And, of course, all of our episodes are up there from every single show. So, again, if you ever get sidetracked what the hell's going on, I don't know where to listen or watch. First of all, it doesn't matter. Whatever your preference is. You like to watch this show on YouTube, watch it there. You like to listen to it on the podcast, watch it there. Or listen to it there. You can't watch an audio platform, can you? If you want to go to pucksports.com, I don't get any added revenue by you clicking on the website. You can go there. All of our shows, every show that we have done since opening day last year of baseball is all there. But right there at the top, the new membership, Join Puck's Posse, will take you right there, and it will give you right to the platform that we have there at the Puck's Posse community membership. So it will take you right there. You have the fabulous new baseball show that we've just done. It's all there. You can join just for as little as $5 a month. You get a discount if you sign up there for a year. We'll share it one more time. I kind of lost the screen there. It gives you the one platform is just the paid membership. And again, our 2.5 hour plus show that we did covering baseball, that's Bill Kruger, Brad Adam, Ryan Divish, Adam June, Jim Duquette is all there. There's a video of it. There's also the audio platform there as well. As Shane said in the comments, I love Kruger. He gets me so depressed. LOL. Yeah, I mean, Kruger can do that to you. Sign up there. Again, join the Puck's Posse community membership. Again, if you want full access, make sure to become a member, become a Posse member. And again, you can do it at pucksports.com. Go to patreon.com. Again, full members won't miss a thing, and we'll have more added content, including dynamic duos, which will appear coming up on January, not first, but the first week of January. And again, that's a segment or a content that we did back in the radio days back during COVID, where we interviewed two people, Seattle sports associated with one another, and two pivotal figures. And we've got our first guest lined up, which will be fun. We'll also be incorporating some new weekly content, just kind of trying to lock down exactly what we're going to do. Have two ideas in particular, just got to make sure that they can happen, and that you'll have weekly content as well, in addition to everything that we do here daily with the Daily Puck Drop and all of our weekly guests. Football, we're in full football season right now. We've got a great list of football guests, of course, with the Ground Puck podcast with Tim Booth and Curtis Crabtree on Mondays. Today we'll include Danny B. Kelly of The Ringer coming up in about 8 minutes from right now. John Canzano from johncanzano.com, talking all things college football and, of course, everything that's happening right now in the world of college football, specifically with my alma mater, the Cougs. We get into that. We taped John early this morning. John had some other duties to take care of because he's writing so much damn stuff over there at johncanzano.com. So we'll get to John, our taped interview with John coming up around 10:45 or so. And, of course, we always finish with Hey, What the Puck. And Hey, What the Puck is going to do with baseball and Rob Manfred. And Jesus, just leave the fucking sport alone, will you please? Just leave it alone. Rob Manfred, please, I'm begging you to leave the sport alone. He's got some new crazy idea that he wants to implement. And he's saying it's creating a lot of buzz among the owners. And it's the dumbest idea you're ever going to... Well, I don't know. Maybe you'll like the idea. I don't know. I hate it. I'm old. I hate all of it. Drives me nuts. I just want the sport to be normal again. So we'll do that. Of course, Wednesdays, Rob Staten stops on by to talk NFL. That is our one. We continue talking a little baseball. Ryan Divish, our off-season visit there with Ryan Divish. And, of course, Thursdays include Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network. And we started it before I went on vacation. But for those who don't know, and probably have done a poor job of advertising it, I'm so happy. The Dugar Report every Thursday. Michael Sean Dugar of The Athletic will be joining us every single Thursday to talk Seahawks and all things surrounding that team. Of course, you can read all of Mike's work up at The Athletic. Listen and watch him on the Man to Man podcast with our former buddy. Well, he's not our former buddy. He is our buddy, Mr. Christ Kid. Did I say Christ? I did. I wanted to say Christopher because that's what he really wants to be called. And then I got caught. I never called him Christopher, even though his parents wanted him to be called that. And then I got caught with Chris. So I went with Christ. And that's what we'll call him from now on, Chris Kim. And then, of course, Fridays we do our handicapping there with Troy Wins. And then Chris Egan talking a little football and all the other crap that we can come up with. Also on Fridays now, we missed it last week because we were gone. And the week before we missed it because power was out. But Lofa Tatupu will be joining us on Fridays to talk Seahawks football. All right, let's get into the rundown. Jesus, that was long-winded. I apologize. Kill me on the chat, by the way. If you can always join the YouTube chat. I try to interact as much as I can. We'll post stuff up there, but that was stupid. You know what? You should get your 10 minutes back, what I just did. My bad. E1 on Puck. Looming test for the Seahawks coming up. We talked about it yesterday on the Ground Puck podcast with Tim and Curtis. I can't wait to see what these guys can do here in the next 5 weeks. Can they squeak out 3 more wins, and we think 10 wins is what's going to win the division? I mean, yeah, the way that they're playing right now, of course they can. Imagine if they can just get a little bit more play from their offense the way that their defense is playing right now. But it's a great test. It's a great test for these guys. At Arizona this weekend, they're getting 3 points down there in the desert. It is an environment which is weird that they play so much better down there in Arizona, playing the Cardinals than they do in Seattle playing Arizona, but they just beat Arizona. Obviously, Arizona's going to come. They've seen now the defense. They're going to make adjustments. They'll have a different look. They'll attack Seattle differently, but so is Seattle. Seattle will no doubt attack Arizona differently this time around. Now, the one question mark this week will be Mike Macdonald. How involved will Mike Macdonald be this week? He and his wife expecting their first child. I don't believe she's given birth quite yet, but congratulations to Macdonald and his wife for the birth of their first child. Very cool. I'm sure there's fans out there that think, "What are you doing? Couldn't you have timed this any better? I mean, why did you have sex 9 months ago? I mean, you knew it would be a football season." I guarantee there's some idiot out there who thinks that. And if you know that idiot, please pass them along to me. Because there's someone out there who thinks he shouldn't be missing any football for the birth of their child. Okay. But, he'll be gone. Now, how much will he be? Will the game plan be affected by it or not? We'll see. I think they're in good hands with guys that they have there. Leslie Frazier's a very good football coach. So that will be something to watch, something to monitor to see, how involved he is in the game plan. And then they come back, and I can't wait for the next two games at home. For the reason of this, I think you got two very good teams that are coming in, and it's a great measuring stick for the Seahawks to see where they're at. Now, they've passed some tests so far, but you're getting two teams, one team in particular with the Packers, who have had great seasons. Minnesota's playing out of their mind. We'll get into it with Danny today in a few minutes. I don't know how they're doing it with Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold's having a great season. How will they play outside? They're a dome team and all that. But two football teams that are playing some of the best football in the NFC, and the Packers that you can squint and look, and is that a Super Bowl contender, especially with the quarterback play there of Jordan Love. The other thing that I think I'm intrigued about to see when they come home to face those two teams are the fans and what attendance is going to be like. Because what is a huge storyline has been this year is the fan engagement. Fans selling their tickets to opposing fan bases. Oh, it doesn't feel like a home game anymore. That wasn't the case with Arizona, because they're not going to travel. But the last time, and this was a hot topic, and we talked about it, everyone talked about it all week long, just about when the Bills came to town, and God, Buffalo took it over. It's not the same environment anymore. Seahawks fans need to stop selling their tickets, yada, 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 yada. Now, I think too much was made of that, but whatever. You're going to see something similar with both these fan bases coming in, though. Packers more so than the Vikings, but I'm going to tell you this right now. Maybe you've noticed this. There is a huge contingency of people from Minnesota who now live here. It's nuts. Like in Ballard or Fremont area, there's a Minnesota bar, Vikings bar. It's packed on Sundays. It's crazy. There's just a lot of people from that state and that city in Minneapolis that have transplanted here for some reason. I don't know why, but they just have. So there are going to be a ton of Viking fans there. We know about the Packers because the Packers travel everywhere. It's not just a Wisconsin team, not just a Green Bay team. They're it's in essence a global team, really, with the Packers. They're one of the Mount Rushmore teams in the NFL. So we'll see how many fans come in for that game. And I'm sure there's Seahawks fans wanting to make money, wanting to pay for their very expensive season tickets that probably have already sold their tickets. So I'm curious to see how that goes, and then to see the outrage from everyone when it happens. But can they squeeze out three more wins to get to 10 wins? Well, yeah. I mean, I think the most likely game, you say the Bears for sure. They get the Bears game. And it might come down to having to go down to L.A. and beat the Rams, a team that has been a thorn in your side. God, it doesn't matter with the coaching change. That stupid team has been a thorn in their side. but they got to desperately get a little bit more, just a little bit more, with the way the defense is playing, a little bit more from their running game. Okay? They just got to. They have to. And I don't know why it's been such a damn struggle for them to run the football, but it has been. Maybe, just maybe, our next guest who joins us weekly on Tuesdays has the answer. Ladies and gentlemen, as I noted on Twitter, X the other day during the game, the man has a nickname as Glass Half Full. And it's Danny Kelly of The Ringer. You can follow him on X and Blue Sky at Danny B. Kelly, senior staff writer. God, it sounds so important. You say senior staff writer, just such a name and just a title at The Ringer, Ringer Fantasy Football Show, the Ringer NFL Draft Show. We talk NFL. Our coverage is brought to you by Georgetown Brewery, locally owned and operated by two diehard Huskies, Manny and Roger. They've been pouring the best local craft beer for the past 23 years, makers of Manny's Pale Ale, Bodhisattva IPA, and a host of your other favorite beers. Tap room is open 7 days a week because you need to drink beer. 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Visit them at georgetownbeer.com. Hey, are those cool glasses, those blue light glasses?
They are.
Yeah, I got a pair of those. I'll put mine on too.
I need them, honestly. Like,
look at that.
Look at you.
A couple of dorks.
We might have the exact same pair here.
Yeah, Amazon.
Yep.
Yeah, of course.
I got to be honest. So I looked into it. There's some conflicting reports on whether the blue blockers actually work.
I don't think it works.
I think it works. I don't care if it's a placebo. I think it works. My eyes have felt better. I felt like I have like a 20-year-old eyes.
Okay.
And I've been staring at a computer screen like 10 hours a day for the last like 15 years.
Maybe I should really go all in on them then.
The reason I bought them is because I've been having like my eyelids have been tweaking out lately. Like, just
are they twitching
like crazy? I'm like, I need to figure out what's going on.
Okay.
Here. So, yeah.
Mine have been my left eyelid. I shit you not. We'll get to football in a second.
People care about this.
See a comment,
they care about us.
You know, God, I listen to 10 minutes of nothing and then finally to football. We'll get to it, okay? Just relax. My left eye has been twitching for like a month.
Yes.
Do you think it's because of the computers?
Yes. I think you should wear so look, I'm not being paid for this. I should be probably.
But we get a new sponsor.
Yeah, I'm starting to believe in these blue blockers things because yes, I had the same deal. My eyelids have been twitching for like seriously like a month, just like you. And I've been wearing them the last like 2 or 3 days. Fine. And I understand like there's a ton of glare. It's kind of annoying, but whatever. Yeah. But honestly, my eyes feel so much better. I don't care if it's a placebo. I think it's working. I'm fully on board.
This is this week's episode is the Blue Light Glasses Show with Danny Kelly. Hey, yeah. Blue Light Glasses. You want to be a sponsor? Hit us up. Puckett, pucksports.com.
I'll be the spokesman for this.
Here's the deal. What I don't like about them. Glasses in general. I've never had to wear glasses. Thank God I've had pretty decent eyesight. Mm-hmm. I don't like the way they feel. I don't like wearing them on my face.
I don't like how they get fogged up if you're like warm or whatever. I've been wearing glasses my whole life. I have
so you're used to it.
So I'm used to it. Yeah. But they definitely look kind of funky with the computer screen, just like right here, whatever.
But you do when you put them on, like, you know, and then you put them on, and I see it like, oh yeah, I see it.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I see that blue screen.
Should we start wearing sunglasses maybe?
You know, I thought about that because I got really blue eyes, and so it doesn't matter even when it's foggy outside or gray. Mm-hmm. The little bit of light, I'm like, it's too much. I gotta put sunglasses on, and I'll do it sometimes indoors.
I'll wear
people
it
like,
fog.
Who are you? Like, what are you? Some big fucking deal? Yeah,
Johnny Cash over here.
Yeah. No, I got sensitive eyes.
Yeah,
I really do. I'm sensitive. All right. That was the drunkest Seahawks game I think I've ever watched, man. And we've watched a lot of drunk games.
I know. I feel like every week it's just like it gets a little bit more unhinged and hard to watch. This has happened multiple times this season now where I'm like third quarter, start of the fourth quarter, getting all these texts about how much all my friends hate the Seahawks, can't watch this team. This is like a disaster, blah, blah, blah. And then like 15, 20 minutes later, it's like, anyway, good win. Feel good about it. On to next week.
It's amazing how just a play here or there changes your entire outlook. It's like the Niners game. Remember when they didn't call the penalty that they should have?
Vaguely.
Yeah. You remember that? It was the timeout.
Right.
The whole timeout thing.
Yeah,
Listen, San Francisco wins that game. everything changes. You know, if Aaron Rodgers, who has made
Sliding
that pass
doors.
to
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson, he's made that pass in his sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm telling you, man.
Game swinging play right there. I think it would have been 28 to 7.
28 to 7, yeah.
Yeah. Man. But that's football for you, honestly. Like, I think it's something that you see every week. There are these like integral, crucial, pivotal plays where the whole narrative would have shifted if like one guy like would have got 1 foot in bounds, or if the ball hadn't bounced that way, or whatever it is, you know, or the referees hadn't called the play initially dead and then they couldn't reverse it, or, you know, there's just a million different things that happen every Sunday. But I guess that's why we love this sport. It's because it's chaotic and pure. God, the Seahawks, when they had like 8 plays from the 1 yard line and then ended up on the 20, I wanted to throw my computer monitor out the window. I was like furious. I was incensed.
You know what's so awesome about that game too? And Citizen Salt checks in here. I wear blue light glasses every day. You damn right you do,
Believer.
Citizen Salt.
He knows what's up.
He knows what's up. Hold on.
Put him on. Put him on.
You want me to put him on the whole show?
Yeah.
I'll put him on the whole segment.
Solidarity.
Look at the glare coming off these things.
We can't tell.
I can't tell where
who's
your
looking
eyes
at
are
what.
at. I don't know. You don't know what I'm looking at. I'm looking at porn right now. I'm not even paying attention to you.
Well, you got to be careful about that now.
You know what though? You know, since I'm a solo like endeavor on my own, I don't. I can't get canceled. Who's gonna cancel me? Myself? That's the best part
Honestly,
about working on your own.
In this country, in this day and age, people probably appreciate it, you know?
God damn,
might be better off.
We should just start sharing screen for fans. But what the best part of that game was, is that they won. They're in first place, right? They're 7-5, all of that. But yet you still have so much to bitch about afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
God, that's what I love about football and I love about sports is that even in a win, and talking about a winning team is fun, Danny, but also what's more fun is bitching about the things that you don't like.
Yeah. God, man, if they could only run a short yardage play to save their life, think about how good this team would be. I don't understand the short yardage thing. I feel like, so you were when you were introducing me, it's like maybe Danny has the answer. I don't have the answer. I think my first guess would be maybe don't have one of 2 options on short yardage plays, which is 1 to run out of shotgun, or 2, everyone line up in the middle of the field in a big pile, and hopefully we can get a yard. That's like the only. It feels like those are the only 2 options they have. They do like a halfback, fullback dive or whatever.
They love that play.
Or they run out of shotgun and it turns into a total.
At some point when they do the Charbonnet, who I believe is one of Grubb's kids that he doesn't want to talk about,
right?
But like, and that's the last time I'll use the joke. I promise. It's like the 4th time I've used it, and you know what? I'm going to put it to bed.
Retiring
it's stupid. It's dumb. And it's over. Is at some point when they have Walker go in motion, don't they have to hand the ball off to him at some point?
You'd think, yeah,
because they never do. I don't believe they have. They always give it to Charbonnet up the middle.
Yeah. And it works how many? I don't know, 40% of the time, 30% of the time. Their short yardage
it worked in that game.
Success rate is pretty terrible. It did work on that touchdown play. Yeah. But it generally speaking, it's just so frustrating. The like when they get into 3rd and short, I'm like, oh God. Like when they got a penalty earlier in the game and they got backed up. I think it was 4th and 1 and they got backed up to 4th and 6. I was like, I actually feel better about this now. Like it gives them a little more space to operate. They got the first down on that play. I just get so nervous whenever they're in 3rd and 2 and 4th and 1 or whatever. I'm just like, there's no way they're getting this.
Well, you think is that a problem just for the Seahawks, or do you, when you watch other games around the league, is that a problem in the NFL?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. I wouldn't say so.
It's ours.
I think it is a uniquely Seahawks, not uniquely, but like the Seahawks are especially bad at it. I would say they apparently have no intention ever of running a quarterback sneak, which I don't know why. And obviously their offensive line has been a problem all year long, like one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. And so, you know, that's obviously a big problem, but they also, I feel like, just don't have a ton of creativity. I don't like how they never seem to utilize space to run. You know what I mean? Like spread to run. They like to just condense everything into the middle of the field and like try and run power when they are almost always overmatched in the middle of the offensive line. So I don't know. I wish they would use space and motion a little bit more when they're trying to run short yardage.
Okay, so you mentioned that. You think this is a Grubb problem? Because, God, I mean, I don't know. Again, and I'm going to base this on Twitter, which is the worst thing in the world to do.
What could go wrong?
Because there's been two things in watching Twitter in the last few days. One for the Cougs, fire everybody, to get rid of Dickert's gone, everyone, get rid of the whole thing. And then the other thing, so that's my life on Saturday. And then my life on Sunday is, despite the win, fire Grubb and fire Jay Harbaugh.
Oh my God. Well, I'm not 100% against the second part of that.
Harbaugh, you want Harbaugh out?
No, I don't know, but that was like one of the worst special teams performances I've ever seen in my life.
I started laughing after the second one.
3 fumbled returns, a missed kick, and a kickoff return. And then their punter got hurt, which is not Harbaugh's fault, but it was just like.
But I'm going to blame Harbaugh for Dixon getting hurt, because I think Harbaugh put him in some weird position where he got hurt.
Yeah.
So everyone wants those guys fired, right?
I'm not ready to give up on Grubb yet. I think I will say have not been super impressed with the short yardage, clearly, obviously. But there's a lot of things I do like about their offense. This is like me just fixating on one thing, and people that have listened to me for a long time know that I feel this way, but like the screen game works. It's like incredible. I'm very happy with like some aspects of this offense, like the middle screens, just erotic when they run those things right. Like JSN, like, like the way that they set it up, you can kind of see it coming. I think teams are kind of picking up on it a little bit, but
they kind of run it a lot though, don't they? Almost too much. The middle,
they like maybe need to back off of it a little bit, but those middle screens, man, those get me out of my seat. I'm super excited about those.
Oh, you and I are a line on this one. If I was a coordinator in the NFL, in any football, and I scripted the first 15 plays, God, I look like such an idiot with these glasses on. That the light
just
that
embrace
I have,
it. Just embrace it.
I look like Poindexter.
Put some like tape right in the middle there.
I am. Next week I'm going to put tape on there.
Somebody on one of our YouTube broadcasts or whatever said that I should get the rec specs, like the like Kurt Rambis, like the old school things with like the cord in the back or whatever to keep it on.
Can you get them with the blue light blocking ones?
I mean, somebody's got to be making those.
Hey, polite cat, you both need to sleep more. Hey,
I mean,
man.
That is fair.
God,
it's extremely fair.
I've tried everything.
Maybe don't look at your blue light phone for an hour before you try and go to sleep too.
I love how they put the phone away for an hour before you go to bed. Who does that? Nobody does.
It's impossible.
No one puts the phone away.
I'm
or
like
electronics an hour.
Right in my face.
I'm like this. Okay, back to Grubb though for a second.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a Grubb play calling issue, especially when it comes to the running game? Because the passing game's good.
Yeah.
We would acknowledge,
I think so. I mean, I think there's definitely a lot of positives about it.
But is it okay, so is it because they can't run because he's not calling effective running plays, or is it because they can't block?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think I looked at this the other day it was yesterday on PFF. Guess who the number 1 rated running back in the NFL according to PFF grade is right now? It's Kenneth Walker. And guess who has like the 29th ranked run game? It's the Seahawks.
This is why I don't get PFF. And I know I look at it too, like everybody else. And it's cool to sit there and say, and reference it all the time, and they're great. Yeah. But I don't understand it. I don't understand how they come to stuff.
I mean, it's a reference and it's a useful tool. I don't think you should base everything on it. I would agree, though, that Kenneth Walker is one of the best runners in the NFL. My point mainly is, I think it's a schematic issue. Okay. It's a combination of scheme and obviously execution. Like the Seahawks offensive line, no one thinks they're good. They're not a good offensive line. So I think, it's a combination of the two things. Are there ways that they could maybe improve the output of the run game? I think so, especially in short yardage. But I don't know if they're installing new offense and new plays at this point in the season. I really don't know how that all works. I think at the end of the day, they need to get a little bit better blocking, and then maybe they get a little more creative and stop just crowding into the middle of the field and trying to run short yardage with all 11 guys, right packed into the middle of the field. Like, that drives me insane. Especially when you're not like a overpowering team like the Eagles, for instance, or the Lions. Like, if you have like good offensive linemen that can blow guys back off the line of scrimmage, I understand that strategy.
Yeah.
I think they should use, and it's not like they're not doing this 100% of the time, but I think they should use spacing more to try and run the ball. Yeah, I don't know.
Spread them out and run from that.
Yeah,
okay.
More often at least.
They seem to, and this could be someone who probably goes to PFF. You're an idiot. You know what you're talking about here. But to me, as I sit and watch games, it feels like they run the ball more effectively, at least with Walker, when they're under center, opposed to out of the shotgun.
Yeah.
But out again, I don't. That may not be the case. I may just be grasping at straws, but it feels like that way to me. I don't know if you sense that at all. Or
that might be the case. I think the problem with that is, and it's all connected together. It's like the offensive line. I think Geno Smith probably prefers not to be turning his back to the line of scrimmage when they're running like bootlegs and things like that, because I think bootlegs could, like running play action could be more useful, and they don't run it at a super high rate. But when you have an offensive line that's failing their blocks, I think Geno's like, I don't want to turn my back to the defense and try and run around and trying to escape when, guys are missing their blocks within like half a second. So, I think there would be ways to run under center, utilize the play action off of that, kind of marry that together. But I think it's just like, there's little things that are just not quite working, not quite clicking for them in those areas. And I don't know what the answer is. I think if it was a simple answer, they'd figure it out. But right now they're like, just basically just getting beat too much.
Yeah. Well, they're much smarter than us for sure. There's no doubt about that. Well, I think there's probably some crazy stat out there will even tell you that, God, even if you don't run the ball, showing play action like causes the linebackers momentarily to pause, and that it's so effective, even if you're not actually running the football.
Right.
So I love play action, but
yeah, I love play action. I think teams are a little less concerned about the Seahawks running these days than they used to. I think in the Seahawks, like I find myself during games just being like, all right, let's just stop pretending. Let's quit this charade. We're not going to be able to run. Let's just throw 60 times in this game. We have a better chance of moving the football. So maybe that's a quitter's mentality on my part, but watching them try and run, it's just like
not glass half full, Danny. Come on, I need glass half full, Danny back. Come on.
Yeah.
It's maddening when you look at them, right? I mean, they average, because offensively, total yards, they're right behind Kansas City. Scoring wise, I think they're 2 points less, but middle of the pack. Passing wise, I think they have the second most efficient passing game, or second most yards and passing in the NFL. But they're averaging 88 yards on the ground. Yeah. And this is the thing I think a lot of people had concerns about with Ryan Grubb. Was he going to come over from college? Because they were pass heavy at UW for sure. But there were times when was it Dylan Johnson, the running back, where they were running the ball effectively. And I always would remind people, there's kind of two different versions of Grubb. One, you've got to remember what he did at Washington. He had an elite quarterback with elite wideouts. Everyone was going to throw the ball. And the O-line. You're going to throw the ball all around the place. But when they were at Fresno, he and DeBoer, the offense looked a lot different. They ran the ball a lot. They had like two 1,000-yard backs when he was there calling plays. So, I mean, I think it's in
his DNA still.
Yeah. Because he's an old line guy too. I think he gets it, but I also think they don't have quite the horses yet,
right,
up front to have a dominant running game.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'm looking at their early down run rate is 31st in the NFL, so they're throwing on first down a lot.
Yeah.
And they have a high pass rate, I think, just mainly because they're just like they're finding no success, running the ball.
Which I don't mind throwing the ball on first down. Mike Holmgren did it all the time.
I prefer it, honestly. It's tough when you get like a incompletion on first down and then try and run on second down. It's like it just feels like, and there is a reason. Look, I'm looking at the stat right now. Seahawks on third down, the distance to first down, so the third and whatever, is 8.4 yards on average. That's the worst in the NFL. So they're averaging on third downs, 3rd and 8, which is like, it's a miracle their offense is so effective because Geno Smith has just been able to kind of like overcome that. But like their early down, success rate and getting into like manageable third downs. I know I hate that term, but like it is a thing, like 3rd and 5 or less. Man, they're just not, they're doing it worse in the NFL.
Yeah, but then we get concerned when they get to 3rd and 3.
I know, and it's a conundrum. It's a catch-22 because then they can't run in short yardage.
Yeah,
maybe they're better off being 3rd and 8. Honestly,
well, it's like we talked earlier about our love for the screen game. If I was a coordinator, I don't think I finished at this point, but it was like the first 15 plays I would script would all be screens.
I love it.
That's all I would do.
Yeah,
so I would screen you to death.
Yeah.
God, I love a good screen pass.
My favorite screen is the fake to the left, fake to the right.
Love it. Middle.
I guess it's not really a screen, but that's like when the tight end running up the seam.
Yeah.
So fake the 2 screens, then throw the seam pass.
Who started that? Was that Kansas City?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure it's been around for years, but yeah, Kansas City has been doing it
you
most
throw
prominently.
Left, and then you spin back. You're going to throw right. The Cougs did that earlier this year against Boise State, and it went for a touchdown. Like,
just
God,
erotic. Just erotic.
Yeah, it causes you. I gave up smoking long time ago when I was 21, and if I see that, I'll be like, my hands go down my pants, and I
just have it,
and I go into the closet where I keep an old pack of cigarettes and grab one out.
Yeah, you don't have to light it. You just kind of like
Oh, you gotta light it. You gotta light it. But yeah, it's I think if they can get that corrected, I guess the only maybe encouraging thing for the rest of the season is, as long as they stay healthy, this is their offensive line.
Yeah.
And maybe just working together,
get some reps.
Final 5 weeks of the regular season gets them working as one unit. I think Oluwatimi has looked good at times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe I'd give up 1 or 2 plays last week. Laumea, I don't know. I mean, I don't sit there and watch offensive line play the entire time.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like he embarrassed himself. Back to PFF, they didn't love him.
Mm-hmm.
But, who knows? I don't know if he's the long-term answer. I think it's depressing in a way that he's beating out Christian Haynes.
I know. That's a bummer.
3rd round.
That's a bummer because I liked him too. I don't know what's going on there. It might be a personality situation where
It could be.
I don't know. But yeah, he it would be lovely if they could just get some continuity, get all 5 guys, playing for a few games here. I'd probably not the long-term answer at right guard there. Just they have a chance to like really load up this offseason potentially and invest in the offensive line. I would love if they did that.
Yeah. What Danny, think for a second. Okay. Left tackle's fine. Although I think Cross has been a little shaky of late for some reason.
Yeah. I'm still very bullish on Cross.
Yeah.
I saw him miss a couple of blocks this last game. That was a bummer, but overall still very, very, happy with him.
Tomlinson's righted the ship. He's been okay. Oluwatimi, I think, has been fine. Cross, again, cross your fingers there with Abe Lucas. I think I said Cross, but with Abe Lucas, as long as he can stay healthy, if they can just go in the offseason and say, all right, we're going to go spend some money on an interior guard. Let's go find a guard, whoever that is. God, that'd be beautiful. Oh, Lord.
We've been asking for it for 14 years.
We've been asking it since Steve Hutchinson screwed us over and went to the Vikings. That's how long we've been asking for someone in the middle.
Yeah.
On that offensive line. So, but they've got a great 5-game set in front of them, man. I mean, at Arizona, and then I was saying before you came on, I can't wait to see what the next 2 home games look like. One, just because the quality of opponent that's coming in with both the Packers and the Vikings. It sucks the Packers have got like 3 extra days off to play them.
Yeah.
Because they play on the Thursday before they play Seattle. But then also, which is the great debate, fans selling their tickets. Because those are 2 good fan bases that are going to be coming into Lumen. And people will be selling their tickets, especially the Packers. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what they do against these guys, man.
Yeah, I mean, we're in first place.
It's unbelievable.
I think just going back and thinking of some of our conversations this season,
I wanted them to tank 3 weeks ago, Danny.
There was times when we were talking about like maybe Mike McDonald is not it. Like we're starting to miss Pete Carroll a little
John
bit.
Schneider on the hot seat.
Can we get Pete Carroll back? Is he teaching at USC yet? Like,
I don't know what Pete's will do. Yeah, Pete's smacking his gun with that stupid gif on the sideline. Everyone was throwing, wanted to play every time the Seahawks struggled. Yeah, it's a hell of a turnaround.
But yeah, this is like, this is just the classic NFL season where there's, I think many little runs here and there where they lose some games and then they start getting hot. And their defense, I think, is like the most encouraging thing about this season, other than I think Gino's been pretty good, is the defense has been like night and day better the last 3 games. I think I saw actually they're in EPA per play allowed. I think they're number 1 in the NFL the last 3 weeks.
They've been playing great. What do you chalk it up to? You just chalk it up to, I mean, it kind of all started when they got Ernest Jones.
I know.
Is it all Ernest Jones?
Well, I don't think it's all Ernest Jones. Leonard Williams has been playing like Aaron Donald out there, so that helps. It's always a combination of things. I think cleaning up what's going on at the linebacker situation is massive for them, because that was like, a huge question all off season coming into the year. There's these 2 new guys coming off injuries. I don't even know, they weren't like playing that much in the preseason. I think that all kind of like works together to kind of make it hard to install and everyone on the same page. But yeah, like getting Ernest Jones, I think Tyrese Knight has acquitted himself well. Like their pass rush is coming on, getting healthy in the pass rush. They're gonna, I think obviously Leonard Williams playing like he has is just opens things up for everyone else. Like it's a cascading effect for the whole defense. Their secondary is starting to play a lot better. It's starting to play like they can. And so, yeah, it's all exciting and good. And like, that pick 6, I think it's just such a good example of, I think, for people that aren't paying closely attention to the defense, like that's just like a good thing to point to, because he's dropping into coverage. Like, and that's the reason that Aaron Rodgers threw that Leonard Williams dropping into coverage. That's the reason Aaron Rodgers didn't see him, is because, the things are moving so fast. Sometimes you just don't see a defensive lineman, a 300-pound defensive lineman dropping into a zone.
No,
trying to cut off.
Stupid.
Like,
when you think about it, like, that's dumb. Why would we do that?
Why are we asking this guy to do it? Is because you want to give the quarterback different looks and like basically trick him into not seeing this guy dropping into a little zone here. And obviously he jumped in front of the passing lane that Aaron Rodgers thought he had. And that's like, I think, just a good example of like why this defense works, and one aspect of why it works is, it's just you're giving the opposing quarterback, and this is a, what is that, 3-time MVP, like he's been around the block, like giving him looks that he's not expecting or whatever, and that's like how you produce turnovers. That's how you kind of keep them on their heels, and so I think that was just like a fun example of that.
Yeah, and this is the reason why they went out and got Mike McDonald.
Yeah,
was the mad scientist. Like, he's going to present things to offenses that hopefully they've never seen before,
right? And
disguise and trick them and show them a look right when the ball is snapped. They change the look, and maybe that was the thing here, Danny, that it's taken them a while to pick up on that. I would imagine that this is not just let's line up in 4-3 or let's line up in a cover 2, and because there was a simplicity to how Pete Carroll called his defense back in the day. Yeah. There just was. They talked about it. There wasn't great scheme to it.
I mean, they
just had talented players.
Yeah, all the defensive backs. I was going back actually recently and looking at some of the quotes from that era, and I remember like, I think there was a Cam Chancellor quote where he's like, "Look, we're lining up and people know what we're doing. We're not doing a lot of funky stuff. We just play so disciplined. We're all connected." Playing on a string was like the expression they used to use. They're all connected on a string. They're running cover 3 stuff. There obviously is like intricacies within all their coverage schemes, whatever. But for the most part, they weren't disguising anything. They're coming out in 3 high or whatever, cover 3. And running that defense and just executing it better than the people across from it. Now it's like the polar opposite. Hey,
Aaron, on the YouTube stream, nerds. Yeah. Look at us. It's the
4
nerds.
eyes.
Hey, I know if you kind of tilt down now you don't see the glare.
There we go.
Yeah, Aaron. It's the blue light glasses show of record. It's wonderful.
Hell yeah. Not ashamed of my
I'm not ashamed. Not ashamed at all. Although I'm getting my ears and like the side of my face is getting tired with them on. But I'm doing it for you, Danny.
I appreciate that.
Solidarity there for you. I distracted you with that. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was basically just saying like now it's kind of, I think, hopefully the inverse. Obviously, the expression I think he uses is the illusion of complexity. I don't think like, they're not blitzing a ton. So it's not like they're sending 5-6 guys and like, being really risky and all that stuff. It's just literally bringing pressure from different four. Not really the quarterback is having a hard time knowing exactly where the pressure is going to come from, which 4 guys are going to come, which guys are going to be dropping out. Just makes their life a little bit harder, setting protections, knowing where their hot route is and things of that nature. I think it's just, that's what makes it harder for the opposing offense and like really just the opposing quarterback to know what's going on.
Yeah. I read that stat where they were really one of the least teams that like to blitz, and I was like, really, God, my imagination
doesn't feel like it
feels like they're blitzing and sending guys all over the place, but in reality that's not the case. But in those two of the biggest plays in the game, certainly the one there with Leonard Williams, how they disguised it, but then the last play of the game there on 4th down where I think Kobe Bryant had only blitzed, I don't know, it was like 2 or 3 times ever. And then when he got the call, he was like, really? You want me to blitz? But it worked.
Yeah.
They disguised it. They dropped, I think, Reed and somebody else back. Offensive line had no idea where it was coming from. And then here comes Kobe Bryant off the edge. And Rodgers has to basically almost, in essence, throw it away.
Yeah.
I never really made a play. So it's fun to watch. We've seen so much where the offensive guys have been the ones scheming. And making it hard for defenses. It's kind of fun to see it on the flip side, to see him making it a challenge on others.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the Seahawks have, we talk about why is it different now. I think it is a lot just they're getting used to it and starting to know the system and starting to like feel comfortable in it, playing fast instead of thinking. Yeah. All the cliches. But yeah, the Seahawks, I think, have the personnel to do this kind of stuff. Like they're, especially in the secondary, the guys they can blitz pretty much anyone. Witherspoon's awesome off the edge, So
he's so awesome. I just love watching him play.
Yeah, they got some guys that play with fire,
an attitude, and
ferocity, I should say.
Loves playing great. Job has been a find.
Yeah. Yeah.
The hell's that guy?
I don't know.
Just they plug him in and they're like, oh, he's good now. So it's been fun. Hey, before we get to your, it's a Tuesday, it's fantasy football waiver wire pickups. We're winding down the season. I know you'll appreciate this, and I appreciated it last night. The Jameis Winston experience is holy.
Yeah.
I mean, him after the post game saying he wants a prayer, the gods to take the pick sixes away. He is what I love about sports, because he's a good player, makes mistakes and all that, but he's just fun.
Yeah.
God, he's entertaining.
Yeah. Did you see the thing? This was, I think it came out after the game sometime, like day or two after. There was a video of him trying to get the opponent to jump, and he's like doing a hard count, and he's like, he does a hard count. He kind of adjusts it. He like tells the guy to move, and then he's like, hot. And he's like, damn it. Will you guys jump already? He just yells at the other team.
Yeah, he is. He's at times, man. It is spectacular what he can do with the football in his hands, and then the picks. But
it is the Jameis Winston experience, because man, it's like you watch that, and from a fantasy point of view, because I'm fantasy brained, that's just like what I think about most of the time, and so it's like, man, he really just unlocks like 3 or 4 guys that you were not expecting to be like potential, like literal league winning type of players, like Jerry Jeudy having like 40 something points in fantasy. Like I'd given up on Jerry Jeudy, but like Jameis Winston unlocks players. He's done that everywhere he's gone. I think if you look back in the history, like when he was with the Buccaneers, like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, both number 1 receivers in fantasy. So he is like we call it like a kingmaker type of quarterback. Yeah. But man, and I'm rooting for him, because I want fantasy production from wherever he is, but if he can't stop throwing pick sixes, he's like not going to be a starter for very long. It's just like it's that contradiction or whatever. It's like he is so good, he just like pulls the trigger, he hits his back foot and pushes the ball down the field. And the offense for the Browns has been night and day, much more explosive, whatever, much more dangerous. But also it's like, man, he just like, that's also the problem. He pulls the trigger when he shouldn't, and creates bad situations. So it's like, I don't think he doesn't probably have long as a starter. but man, it's fireworks when he is a starter.
Yeah,
so
he's
good for
just
fantasy.
it's just fun in the pregame and the postgame and all the kind of stuff that
Yeah.
that comes along with Jameis Winston. All right, it's Tuesday. Fantasy football waiver pickup. What do we got? Who's hot off the presses? Who do we need
I
to
think
get?
the big one and the guy that you probably want to spend the vast majority, if not all of your free agent auction budget on is Isaac Guerrero for the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
Christian McCaffrey going down with a PCL injury, and then Jordan Mason on the same day going to the IR with a high ankle sprain. This is the 49ers backfield is now Isaac Guerrero's apparently. And so, obviously this is a good team, good offense, good offensive line. They're going to run the football. They're going to score points. You want a piece of that offense. So he's a guy that I would definitely go out and prioritize at the running back position. I think for receivers, what I was saying before, the Browns receivers, like if Elijah Moore is still out there, he's getting double-digit targets when Jameis Winston's out there dealing. Cedric Tillman coming off a concussion. I think those are the two priority receivers for me this week. Even though I think they have a tough matchup with the Steelers this coming week, I still just like Jameis is, he has the memory of a goldfish. He's just going to go out there and keep throwing. And so those are two guys I'd be looking at. Keon Coleman for the Bills should be coming back from injury soon here. He was looking like he was picking it up before he got hurt. And then at tight end, Juwan Johnson is an interesting one for the Saints. Taysom Hill is out for the rest of the year with an ACL injury. I don't know. The Saints are running out of guys that can throw the football to, and I think Juwan Johnson's kind of been this steady guy they have. He's probably going to get more snaps, probably going to get more looks in this offense. And then if Dallas Goedert misses time with his knee injury that he suffered this last week, Grant Calcaterra for the Eagles is another guy that you can stream. He's been sort of like the pass catching guy for them. Devontae Smith is still banged up, so if he misses time, that's especially good for Calcaterra. So yeah, there's some options to stream this week, even though there's a bunch of buys. So you might be looking to you might have some ugly lineups this week.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure when it's been a couple of weeks since we've done a show, so I'm not sure who we put out on the barge before Thanksgiving, but sorry, I guess they're not going to come back because
Shanahan, was it Shanny? Was it Shanahan? I can't remember.
Did we put Shanahan on the barge?
I'm trying to remember.
And now I forgot to put the barge sound effect in here. God darn it.
Well, we put Connor Williams on the barge and then he retired. So you have a lot of power apparently.
That's right. That's
this
stupid.
barge situation.
Have we heard anything about that? Nothing has come out from that.
No, I think it was something in his personal life is what was like the company line.
If that's the case, I don't know. Hold on, Danny. There it is. And I know as somebody in that's not a barge, man. That's a shipping container.
It is a ship, yeah.
Okay, it's the barge sound, my friend, who was like, that's not a barge, it's a shipping container. Whatever.
Too literal. You don't need to be so literal.
I'm Azir Shahir. Yeah, he's on the barge.
I think the whole Texans organization is like
what are we doing? Why
they're
are we
on one right
defending
now.
his behavior? Because I didn't even realize this, and I was reading when he came down to 3-game suspension here on Tuesday, was all the past aggressions this season.
Mm-hmm.
Like this isn't his. Like I heard this.
He was on the NFL's radar for the last couple months. Like he's just like one more screw up, dude. Come on, like you're gonna have like a suspension coming, and this one was obviously egregious.
Were like, oh, this isn't him, and I'm like, okay, I didn't really know much about him at all. And then I'm reading the suspension today. He's getting into a fight in the Bears game because he knocked Caleb Williams out.
Yeah, he punched like Roshan Johnson on the sideline.
There was like 2 more incidents, and I'm like, clearly this is who he is.
Yeah.
This is clearly who he is.
It's like not Vontaze perfect level stuff, but like he's on their radar already. And then this is obviously a really egregious, hit on a quarterback who's clearly sliding. Like it wasn't close.
That was old school, man. That was like out of the 70s.
Yeah, and so and I don't know. I found it like I understand I understand how a coach and GM would want to defend their guy, but I guess the level at which they're like saying this is stupid, like with Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans coming out in the press the last day, and basically saying it's ridiculous and like stupid and it's the Jaguars' fault and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, it's time to chill out. Yeah. Like this is clearly an obvious suspension situation.
That was a brawl, man. That was good for the Jags, man. They were just ready to just unload.
I know everyone was like Evan Ingram respect. Like
Yeah,
the way
yeah.
he like came over and like shoved his face in the dirt. That was kind of.
Hey, one last thing. You know what I want to see, since we saw it all last week in college football, in the next like game, like whatever quote rivalry game
Right.
it is, I want someone to take a flag and plant it at the 50 just to see what happens.
Well, what's the funniest one that could happen this week? I think. Let's see.
Let's
here.
see. Give me a schedule. What do
We
we
got
this week?
There's like not a lot of good games this week. I don't think.
Yeah.
Packers Lions is a good
Oh,
one.
that's
Thursday Night
perfect.
Football.
That's perfect. This week, where is that game at?
It's in Detroit.
Yeah.
So
Packers win.
yeah,
And they take a Lions flag and go try to plant it at the 50 and see what
that.
Watch Dan
That
Campbell.
you're gonna have people coming out of the crowd on that one.
I know that would be awesome. What about the Seahawks do it down in Arizona?
People are gonna be like, "Cool, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
whatever.
to Scottsdale, go golfing."
Yeah, see you, bro. Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, Danny. Great visit with you as always, Danny B. Kelly. Follow him on Twitter and Blue Sky. Danny Kelly every single week, senior staff writer at the Ringer, Ringer Fantasy Football Show, Ringer NFL Draft Show, and again, our conversation every single week is brought to you by Georgetown Brewery. Visit them at georgetownbeer.com. Danny, until next week, we'll talk to you then. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good, man.
Danny Kelly, again, in case you missed it, the episode, appearance with Danny Kelly will be available up on YouTube. When you go to YouTube, as always, please subscribe there. You could leave comments. Also up on Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts, and, of course, always up at pucksports.com. All right. God, these glasses. I really do look like a dork with these blue light glasses. As I mentioned before, John Canzano and I, we caught up earlier this morning. John was working on a project, couldn't join the show live, so we taped our appearance earlier. Of course, John joins us every single Tuesday, has been doing so for a long, long time. All brought to you by Zeke's Pizza. Lots to catch up on in college football with John, including the situation at WSU. Oregon's win over Washington, the performance of Devon Williams, the changing landscape and culture of college football. Our conversation, John Canzano of johncanzano.com. I feel great. I feel great because you're back.
Thank you, man.
It's back talking college football with the great John Canzano. I felt when we were away and we didn't do the show last week, there's a little part of me that's missing. And now that part of me that's missing is back.
But I respect people who have routine, and you have a pretty dedicated lockdown vacation routine. Don't you go to the same place, same week every year or something like that? Something wonky?
Same place, not this was the first time we went to this lovely island off of Cancun. This is the first time that we went on Thanksgiving weekend. Normally we would go during Christmas or spring break. I'm telling you, you got to take your family to this place.
Yeah.
It's the greatest.
They should be sponsoring the show.
They should.
Brought to you by Cancun.
No, it's brought to you by Isla Mujeres. If you want to take your family to a vacation spot, sit down on the beach and drink beer all day long. That's your spot. There was a point where I would wake up and go, can I make it to 11?
Is this like where Andy Dufresne went when he got out of Shawshank?
It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. Well, John Canzano with us. Of course, his weekly appearance all brought to you by the fine folks there at Zeke's Pizza. Best selection of pizza and local Northwest craft beers. I got to go to Zeke's because didn't have pizza for like 10 days, which is nothing but seafood and tacos, which are fabulous, by the way.
Yes.
I could use a little pizza, though. Zeke'sPizza.com. Perfect here for the football season. You can follow John on X at John Canzano BFT. Also, John Canzano on Blue Sky. Read all of his fabulous work. There's not a day that doesn't go by. This guy doesn't have new content up at johncanzano.com. And of course the radio show, because he's got to do a radio show as well. The Bald Face Truth, 750 the game down there in Portland, Oregon. I want to get to the Ducks. I want to get to the whole, their performance against Washington, your thoughts on Devon Williams, college football, all of that. Let's just start here with WSU, my alma mater. Feels like we're in a real critical time, for this program, where they're at right now. John, they've lost 3 straight. It's another November swoon under Jake Dickert, two years in a row. He fires his DC. Ben Arbuckle now is the new offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. And Jim and I talked about this on Monday. I've never seen a fan base for the Cougars more angry than they are right now.
Yeah, and some of that I understand because the expectation got built up, and so much of our reaction and how we feel about things is about your expectations. Just think about Christmas morning or a vacation that doesn't go right. Why? Well, because you had these unrealistic expectations for it. Look, Washington State was 8-1. The goal this season was to stay visible, stay relevant, be ranked, be one of those teams that was talked about as a playoff team. It was mission accomplished until the last month of the season when they absolutely face planted. Now, I think Dickert's right to be looking at his coaching staff because there seems to be a coaching issue here, both this season and last season. I think it's more about the pace of practice. What are they doing? Are they getting enough rest? A lot of the coaches that I talked with are now talking about, hey, this could be a season that stretches 14, 15, 16, 17 weeks. You have to really manage those practices because Washington State, to me, after the Apple Cup, and maybe it was just so emotional, I never really felt like they played lights out after that. They just were good enough to win, and then stopped being good enough to win. And so I really would be curious if Dickert is looking back at how they practiced, the intensity level. Did he give enough mental and physical rest to his players? Because some of these coaches down the stretch are only suiting up 1 day a week, and they're letting guys go in shells, and you're giving guys days off. That maintenance thing for college football has become a big thing, and the coaches are managing practices different than they used to. So I wonder what Washington State was doing. And then, further, I talked to Pat Chun, who was the AD who was there when Dickert was promoted and these guys were hired, and he was at the Washington-Oregon game. He made a comment to me. He said, look, at WSU, he said, we really invested in the coordinators. Well, look up and look what's happening right now. Those coordinators are again gone. Dickert just a couple of summers ago was facing having to replace 2 guys. Now he's having that same dilemma. I'll be really curious to see if they can go full throttle investment with salaries. And I'm going to bring this up. David Riley, the basketball coach, you saw what they did when Kyle Smith left. He was making $1.5 million a season. Riley's making $600,000. You can't do that here if you're Washington State. You have to continue to fund, and you have to pay for good coordinators.
And what if they can they though? I mean, I guess you always can, but will the Board of Regents, who's going to slash the budget and wants to slash the budget, it's on the docket. You wrote about it. Will they be willing to do it? I mean, I think that's one of the biggest questions. Can they pay 2 coordinators enough money and to be attractive for that job in that school?
Well, that money was budgeted, right? And so here's where Ann McCoy really gets to go be the athletic director. She's got to bang the drum, and she's got to be the champion for that program and say, hey, look, if we don't invest in football, if you don't get this as a Board of Regents, if we don't invest in football, you're not going to get a return on that investment. And this is a very important juncture for Washington State because they trimmed $11 million off the budget, and they did a lot of that with coaching salaries in the last cycle. But that money is baked into the budget right now. And, the Regents didn't anticipate the coordinators were going to be gone and there were going to have to be new hires. So if I'm Ann McCoy, I am holding the line there and saying we have to be able to go back and spend the same amount of money and get good coordinators and get Jake Dickert what he needs. Because Washington State and Oregon State, when they hit the ground running in the new Pac-12 in 2026, they're going to be ahead of most of those other schools because they've got better facilities and they're investing at a higher level, $80 million plus in these budgets that they're spending. These Mountain West schools that are coming in are spending 45, 50, 55, 60. So you've got a huge head start. But if you start cutting, pretty soon you start to look like Fresno State. You start to look more like Utah State, and you can't have that. You have to get ahead, stay ahead in this business.
What would you advise him to do? I don't, in the 15,000 articles that you write at johncanzano.com, I don't know which one this was in, if it was in the mailbag or just other questions you were answering, but I loved your idea and your suggestion for Trent Bray. at Oregon State. And I talked about this yesterday as well. I would love for Jake Dickert, along those lines that you wrote about with Trent Bray, to find someone who's already been through the fire, an ex-coach. Maybe he's been fired. Maybe they've been relegated now to being just a coordinator. But I think the issue with him in the last, since he's taken over, and it's only been 3 years, is I think because he's a first-year guy. He's 41. He's never had to lead a program until this one. I think he needs someone on his side that's been through it before. And you suggested that with Bray.
He's got a lot of mettle and he's got grit to him. I like Dickert's energy. I do wonder if it becomes too much over a long season and fall camp and spring ball. And I wonder if that's why they had a swoon here in November, or they had a swoon last year in October, where they just didn't look the same. Is there a mental fatigue that sets in because he's always on his guys and everything's emotional? He's got tears in his eyes after every game. And I love that part of Jake Dickert, but I wonder how much that weighs on a team in a locker room over the course of a season. There's a nice balance you have to strike there. And that's where these older guys come in. You've seen coaches over the years like Dennis Erickson and Mike Riley and others who will become part of a staff, and they're just there to be a mentor. They're there to be a consultant or an advisor to the head coach. I think Trent Bray at Oregon State, he's a defensive-minded guy. I look at his staff. They're all young. They're young guys. They've got a lot of energy. But what he needs is somebody who's had to delegate jobs and authority, somebody who's made mistakes, walked through the fire, as you said. And so I look at a guy like Brady Hoke, who is off a job at San Diego State. He's not doing anything. He's not looking to be a head coach again. But that's a guy you could bring in. If I'm Trent Bray, I'm calling Brady Hoke and saying, hey, come on. Come be part of my staff and help me understand what's important and what's not important as a head coach, because that's so much of the job, is figuring out in those first few years where your focus needs to be. And Jake Dickert, defensive-minded guy, was a coordinator, probably wants to be more hands-on than he should as a head coach. And so I think he does need somebody who's served in that capacity before. And whether it's somebody that is from his past that he's worked with somewhere else, or somebody that has got a tie to Washington State, or somebody that he just seeks out and says, hey, look, what are you doing? Do you want a side hustle here? Come get eyes on my spring practices, get eyes on fall camp, because that's where a voice comes in and goes, hey, Rich Brooks, the former Oregon coach, I was talking to him yesterday. Now he's too old for this job, right? He's in his 80s. But I asked Rich Brooks, what do you make of the season? He goes, it's so long. He says this college season didn't used to be like this. It was a 10-week season. They had a month of fall camp, and it was over. And then it was a bowl game. He said now they're looking at some of these teams are going to play 16 or 17 games. It starts in the spring. The spring's long. The fall is long. The summer's long. There's no time off. And so he really talked about wanting to manage that time. And I wonder if that's where somebody taps Jake Dickert on the shoulder and goes, hey, I'm seeing something here that I can help you with. Because I think we all need those mentors. You need it. I need it. We all have those people in our lives that will kind of redirect us when we drift. And I think, if you're Washington State, in addition to these coordinators, you're looking for a consultant with some gray hair.
Right. As you were saying that, the first name that came to mind, because he's like all these Northwest, Wazoo, UW coaches all reside in Lake Coeur d'Alene. Yeah. It's Mike Price, Keith Gilbertson, Dennis Erickson. Yes. Dennis Erickson would be the guy I would call. Yeah. He's 77, so I don't, maybe he'd be like. But you know what? But Erickson is also like a grinder and a lifer. Yeah. I think he lives for this stuff. I'd reach out to Erickson and be like, yeah. Look, every time I call Dennis, look at our offense. Every time I call Dennis Erickson, he talks about doing his workout, and he says, well, other than that, I'm lifting a Coors. I'm doing a curl with a Coors. God, what a life.
Yeah. But he'd be perfect for that, because he just wants somebody who's going to come in, hold a clipboard, watch practice, stand over your shoulder, offer just, hey, you know what? This happened when we were coaching in 92. This is what happened, and we had this same kind of situation. There's just so many parallels. Yes, the coaching game has changed, but what hasn't changed is what is necessary is that you have to figure out as a head coach what is important, where you need to spend your time, and what else you need to delegate. And so, I think it would be helpful to have some wisdom in that room.
Because I think guys like Dickert and Bray, they didn't have the luxury or the opportunity work at a lower level school.
Yeah.
Figure out what works, and then hone their philosophy, what their motto's going to be. Their practice routine. That's obviously what has made some of these coaches so good. I think of Kalen DeBoer, the lowest level, right? And he honed what his craft, what his message was going to be, and then he just steadily worked his way up the ladder. Those two didn't have that.
They didn't. And there's an industry out there for this. Like, you've seen a lot of programs who will take on an assistant or a consultant.
Mm-hmm.
And even I had a conversation with Chris Peterson, it was about a year and a half ago. He talked about the fact that he was still coaching. He was coaching coaches. So he was spending some of his free time giving some advice to some of the guys that were in his coaching tree and getting on the phone with them, or maybe coming to a practice. And I really suspected at the time that Jonathan Smith at Oregon State was in touch with Chris Peterson and was still, sort of, siphoning off some of that wisdom. You need that. And if you're Jake Dickert and you don't seek that out, then you're a fool. And I think he's smart enough to know that this is I also think he can sell his program as a little bit of a stepping stone, even though that's not what you want to be viewed as, but you can sell that, because Ben Arbuckle was driving Uber Eats like 2 years ago. Now he's calling plays at Oklahoma, but he needed to go to Pullman to do that. So be comfortable being kind of the place where young guys that have great ideas can come, and you can be that petri dish for coaching. And I think you can do really well with that mindset.
Do you think this leads to some of the distraction of the team? I mean, maybe I don't know if Washington State's an isolated event, but if Ben Arbuckle clearly has now already been introduced, I mean, it came out yesterday in the afternoon, and then 2 hours later, Oklahoma makes it official. Obviously, he'd been talking to Oklahoma for quite some time. Who knows how long he'd been talking to Oklahoma, but obviously just didn't transpire yesterday. Do you think that leads into some of the late season collapse by the football team? And is it for all programs, you want everybody to take the next step, right? Everybody. And Cougar fans are upset that Arbuckle's leaving, and I understand that, but I'm also like, you would leave too if you were advancing in your profession and get hired at another job for more money. That's just the way that life works. But is it, does it lead to some of this? Did it lead to some of it last year, in your mind, to Jonathan Smith?
Well, I think you don't want distraction in your program, and whatever the distraction is, whether it is players who have, 1 foot out the door and the eye on the portal, whether it's the future of the conference being in doubt, whether it's your coach who's got an agent out there and is, passively interviewing or actively interviewing for jobs. You don't want distraction. And so clearly, I think there has been distraction in the last 2 seasons in the Pac-12. It's rumbling behind the scenes. Then you've got, sort of the Dickert, is he leaving last season thing that happens in October. They just were not the same team. And I felt like, last season, Oregon State really got hurt by the fact that Washington State was locked in when they played. And then suddenly a month later, Washington State was a mess. And this year it was the opposite. I gave Oregon State no chance to win this game in November because they looked so bad, but it has to be a distraction. The Arbuckle thing has to be, how do you do your job if you're also interviewing for another job in the same way? You can't. But I think it's true. It's human nature. It's true of players. It's true of coaches. I want to, because it's happened in back-to-back seasons, I want to know more about how Washington State practices. I want to know, in September and October, are they going full throttle at every practice? Are they easing back like some of the other schools that look fresh now? The programs, to me, not just Washington State, several programs look tired to me at the end of the year. Oregon looked tired to me before they got the bye week, and then they went into the Washington game. They were weary. They were on fumes. I think that coaches are pushing more. I think the season's longer. The workouts are longer in the spring and the summer. They're getting into fall camp, and they're sequestered, and then it's all football. And I just think the season right now, it's mentally taxing. We normally see this in the NFL where rookies hit the NFL, and you'll see that rookie wall that they hit happens in Major League Baseball as well. They're just not used to playing that many games and having the season be that long. And it just feels longer to me. Even as a media member, I had to catch my breath going, gosh, and think about this, Puck. They're going to be
stop writing so much.
They're going to be playing until January 20th. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
And there's going to be games. It's not like, hey, bowl season's on, nobody's practicing or playing. They're going to be playing.
And at the same time, just think about this. This is why, God, if I were a coach, I'd get out of this sport so fast. So fast, and I would find a job in the NFL. I mean, on Wednesday, we got the early signing period.
Yeah.
So now you got to deal with that for the next 5 days. Who are we going to lose? How do we retain our commitments? Are they going to flip? And then all of a sudden, you catch your breath and you get through the early signing period. What happens next Monday? Oh, now the portal season's open.
Yeah.
And we're just, I mean, these rosters are just going to get raided.
Yeah.
All of them. And so there's that uncertainty, and you're dealing with that. And if you're still playing in the college football playoff and you're preparing for a bowl, you're having to prepare for that. And the portal, do we have enough money? Now Dickert's got to hire coordinators. I mean, Jesus, man.
Yeah. And
I would go to the NFL and be a quality control coach.
And the change is that recruiting even has changed. I talked to a Power 4 conference head coach last week, and they had to do some recruiting, right? And I said, what is that like now? And they said it's so much more intensive, and the kids need to be stroked, and they need to be told how great they are, and the negotiation, the leverage has changed because of the money involvement. Mm-hmm. And so now it's not just, hey, come play at our school. We're a great school. You can be part of what we're doing. It's they've got to really woo the recruits, and the money involvement has changed the calculus a little bit. And then you mentioned like revenue sharing's coming. Okay, right? 2025, the NCAA is going to say, hey, there's a cap of $20.5 million. That's what everybody thinks the cap's going to be, or it could be as high as 22, but 20.5 in revenue sharing. So what are you going to do with these coaches and your staff if you need to make a change? And I really, as I talk to more athletic directors, I think it's going to be really hard for the programs that have typically been very reactive to just fire the whole coaching staff, pay everybody off. It's a 10, 11, $12 million staff, right? You're out the door. Now you got to replace that. You're paying 2 coaching staffs while also trying to figure out how do we get to 22 million or 20.5 million. I just think you're going to see a lot more patience from these ADs who are going to sit on their coaches. Like everyone's saying Ryan Day is saved by the playoff. I think that also the fact that they'd owe him like $40 million is saving him. And Lincoln Riley at USC, $88 million. Like, it really gives you pause if you're an athletic director and you want to change a coordinator or change a staff, because your university is going to go, hey, we're trying to raise money so we can buy players here and share revenue. We don't have enough money to replace a coaching staff.
Has Cohen flown the plane out to Chicago yet with Riley? Do we know? Is anyone tracking that? What's that website that tracks the flights?
Flight Tracker.
Yeah, do we? Thanks, Flight Tracker. I love how I couldn't come over that.
Yeah,
what an idiot. This is what happens when you sit on a beach for 9 days drinking beer and shooting tequila.
Yeah, if I'm her, I do the DB Cooper thing. I fly over Chicago. I send him out the back hatch with a parachute and some cash in his hand.
There you go. Oh, God. I mean, I guarantee we're right. She wants him to take that job so bad.
Yeah.
God,
do a favor. And for him, if you're Lincoln Riley, maybe you're looking up and you're going, I can't win here. And I can't win in the Big Ten against Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State. That's what he's facing. And I think too, like, if you're Jonathan Smith, he jumped too soon to that Michigan State job. He would have been at UCLA or he'd have been at Washington. We all know that. I mean, the coaches last year, I think, were a little too reactive and nervous, and now I think you're going to see an abundance of patience from those schools.
I want to move over to Oregon and UW here in a quick second. One last thing on the Wazoo situation. What do you think Johnny Mateer does?
I think he's probably gone, and I just don't think that Washington State can pay him what others are going to pay him. It's not what I want. It's not what you want. It's not what Washington State fans want. And one thing though that gives me pause, and maybe I'm a sucker for thinking this. When I talked to him, and I know you talked to him as well. When I talked to him, he mentioned and he brought up unsolicited the fact that he felt so appreciative, so deeply appreciative of people in Pullman and at Washington State who believed in him and who brought him in when nobody else offered. And this goes back to Jake Dickert's recruiting philosophy, which I think is brilliant. He's recruiting high school kids when nobody else is recruiting high school kids anymore. He has gone all in with his classes. I think he was like 25 of the 28 signees last time were high school kids. And with the philosophy of, hey, I'm going to lose some of these guys, but at least I have a shot to retain him. And that's the position he's put himself in with John Mateer and Wayshawn Parker. And that is a smart place to be if you're Jake Dickert, because at least you have a puncher's chance to either get buy-in from the collective, which I think is really stressed out right now between basketball and football, or you have a little bit of a loyalty tug. And, Boise State kept Ashton Genty. Can Washington State do that with John Mateer? I don't know. The Texas thing scares me for Washington State. The fact that he's got roots there, and, he could go to Oklahoma with Arbuckle, could end up at Texas A&M or someplace like that. But, he's put himself in a wonderful position by producing.
There's some rumor about Utah as well. If he goes to Utah, Whittingham is dead to me. And I love Kyle Whittingham, but he's dead.
Yeah.
I'll never trust him again. Yeah, I just think that, loyalty can only go so far. And if a program comes out and offers this kid, life-changing money.
Yeah.
$1.5 million, whatever the price tag is. And I don't know this, and I like John, and I don't know what his future in the NFL would be. I don't know if he's an NFL quarterback. To me, he kind of feels like Taysom Hill 2.0, and that's okay. And Taysom Hill, if that's what it is, Taysom Hill's made a ton of money in the league. So maybe he looks at this as, hey, and it's a chance for me to cash out right now. And then also I think there's an ego part of it. Hey, I wasn't recruited. You guys all missed out on me. Now I'm going to go someplace bigger. I'm going to prove everyone wrong. And
I did talk to one big donor at Washington State who gives to the collective. And I sort of asked, where are you guys at with Mateer? And the response I got was much what you said, that look, if it's life-changing money, nobody's going to begrudge him. Nobody's going to be mad at John Mateer for going to do what's best for John Mateer. But if Washington State can get into the ballpark and pitch the loyalty, that's all you can do. And at least you've got, like I said, that puncher's chance to retain him.
Yeah. Dan Lanning's victory over Washington. Finally, what did it mean?
I think it meant a lot to him. I don't think he's going to say it, but there was a certain bit of satisfaction that you could see after the game as he was kind of talking about it. And he kind of made fun of the fact that he made this joke about, all I do is think about Washington. All I do is, I wake up thinking about him. I go to sleep thinking about him, and I think about winning. Now he made a joke and he kind of smirked at the end of it. But I think down deep, it did mean something for him to finally beat Washington. Like, he needed to get that one. It would have been a catastrophic loss if he lost it. That's now in the rearview mirror for Dan Lanning. And it's so silly in this business. Like, he beats Ryan Day by a point, and we suddenly start to say, well, now he can win the big one. If Ohio State kicks a field goal at the end of that Oregon game, we're left going, oh, he can't win the big one. It's just so arbitrary sometimes. But he made the comment too that he said there are bigger things in front of us, and I think Oregon felt that way. Like, I really do think they loved putting 49 on that scoreboard. I think they would have preferred to have it be a little more lopsided, but they wanted a little bit of a catharsis. And Washington, like a lot of programs that are led by first-year head coaches, Arizona, Michigan State, Oregon State. It's a tough thing. I go down on the field, Puck, and I look at the Washington players, the physicality of the Washington players standing beside the Oregon players. It's not a comparison. It's night and day. Oregon is bigger, more physical. I mean, they get off the bus and the game's over. Like, that game was won in the trenches, and 10 sacks. Devon Williams Jr. got sacked 10 times, 16 tackles for losses. I didn't look it up, but those have to be school records at Oregon. I think they just teed off on that Washington offensive line.
How do you, though, if you're Jed Fish, who I'll be honest with you, and sorry, Cougar fans, you're going to get mad. I think he did an okay job. Yeah, better than average.
Sure,
a job this year based on what he took over and the turnover with the roster and all that. How do you change that, though? How do you? Everyone's going to be looking for that in the portal.
Yeah,
and you can't recruit that, right? Offensive linemen, when you recruit them out of high school, they take 2 years, 3 years to develop, to get bigger and stronger. How do you remedy that in the offseason if you're Jedd Fisch? Because that's what's standing in their way from being a better football team.
100%. And some of it's just going to come down to their NIL collective. Will the Husky fans spend? And there's a lot of competition in that Seattle market for your dollar. No. It's not like Tuscaloosa. It's not like Columbus, where that's the thing. You've got the Seahawks, you've got the Mariners, you've got people trying to bring the NBA, you've got the Kraken, you have all of this, splintered, landscape there that creates a little bit of competition for your sponsorship dollars and your donations, right? So, I think Jedd Fisch has really got to sell that Washington football is important in that market and get the collective well-funded. I did mention, the first-year programs, they all had the same problem. And I find it interesting that, people at Arizona are freaking out about Brent Brennan because it's the same problem. He lost size on the offensive and defensive line. Those guys are the first to leave. They're the most valuable players now. It's quarterbacks, it's offensive linemen, it's defensive tackles. Those are the first guys that teams are going to poach when your head coach leaves. So same problem. Arizona, Michigan State, Oregon State, Washington. All those coaches had the same issue. They had no size on the defensive line. They couldn't stop anybody in the run game. Well, so you tell me, though, if I'm Washington, I feel like of those schools I mentioned, you are the best positioned to recover. You've got some bells and whistles. You belong to the Big Ten Conference. Yeah. You can recruit to that. I think Fisch is doing the right thing. His coaching staff was really interesting. How all the assistants get on the elevator and they ride up to the coaching box for the game. I stepped on with him, and the security staff didn't stop me. So I was in there with those guys.
They look you up and down, be like,
I was kind of looking at him. But it was really awkwardly quiet. And then I broke the silence by saying, I said, what's the worst press box that you've ever been in? And because, somebody goes Arizona State and somebody else goes this one, it was like, so it was just interesting. They've got this NFL flavored assistant coaching pool. Yeah. They've got Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick hanging around at practices. Jedd's doing the right things. But the question for Washington is, what are you doing after Jedd Fisch? And you have to be thinking about that if you're the AD at Washington right now. You have to be thinking about, hey, if you don't have, an alumni who is in the coaching space, and I'm really struggling with Washington to find that person who has gone on to play in the NFL and is now coaching somewhere. You don't have that tree right now because you lost Chris Peterson and then you lost DeBoer and Jimmy Lake was a blip. And then you just don't have that continuity. So if you're Washington, while you're doing what you're doing now, you're preparing for when Jedd Fisch wins 8 or 9 or 10 games and he leaves for somewhere else. You have to have that next coach ready so you don't have this happen again and have the step back. But I thought 6-6 was about as good as he was going to do. And I think Washington will get back just by virtue of the fact that they've got some advantages over those other programs that I mentioned.
And the foundation of a quarterback, because that kid, that kid's that's a good quarterback. You can see the talent level, and this is why he should have been playing earlier in the year.
Yeah, that kid is scary.
Yeah,
he's going to be good. He is going to be a problem if Washington can keep him. He will be a problem for Oregon. He will be a problem for the Big Ten. He is going to be a headache for defensive coordinators because you look at the fact that he got sacked 10 times and that Oregon was in that backfield the whole rest of the game. He was under pressure. And then you look at his completion percentage and what he did. He played a very clean game. I left the stadium going, hey, good for Oregon. They got the Washington thing off their back. They're on to the conference championship game. And then my very next thought was, Devon Witherspoon Jr. is going to be a problem.
Yeah. He's a really, really good player. I just think the one thing, which again, playing him against Oregon, I think the mistake for Fisch was not playing him against UCLA. Yeah. I would have started him against UCLA, get his feet wet against that. They would have won that game no matter what, and then fire him into an Oregon. And I don't know. I mean, they're not going to win the game, but maybe it's a better performance from him.
Yeah. I'll go back even further. Do they win the Apple Cup if he's at quarterback?
I don't know, just because it was so early in the season.
Yeah.
I think if they played later in the year, probably.
I would
he's a difference maker.
Give me him at quarterback on that final play that Washington ran.
Well, yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, if you're going to run that, run that with him. How about let's finish with this. I never thought they would be in this position, but my God, Arizona State, they win this Big 12, is going to be in the college football playoff. They've got a head coach that's going to, play in beer pong on the weekends with his players, probably doing cake stands. He's freaking unbelievable. He's swearing, berating officials on the field, and what a turnaround. And we've all been saying the same thing. What happens when you awaken the sleeping giant in Arizona State? What happens? Yeah. And it appears that he's on the verge, and maybe he's already done it, but he's on the verge of doing it.
Yeah, there's a lot at play there. And, look, their over-under win total at the beginning of the season was 3.5. And that was a debate, right? And so here they are sitting with 10 wins with a chance to go to the playoff. And you can tell how much it matters to Kenny Dillingham. You can say in the SEC it means more, but when he has got the vein going in his neck and he's shouting at the official, he's saying on camera, "I'm one of these guys," after the game, and he is one. Kenny Dillingham, it cares. It matters to him. It's more than just a job that he's doing. It's not a stepping stone. It really matters to him, and that is evident. And he's got a terrific running back in Cam Scattaboo, who's just fantastic and just epitomizes what Arizona State is. And then I'll go further. We just talked about those first-year head coaches. Dillingham's 3-9 in his first season. What happened? He got better on the defensive line, got better on the offensive line. Sam Levitt, who was pissed off at Jonathan Smith because he didn't recruit him when he's an Oregon kid, goes to Michigan State.
Where did he go first?
Yeah.
He's a Wazoo kid,
Yeah. And he ends up now at ASU. Levitt has been just a wonderful find, and he needed a quarterback, and so Dillingham got a QB that he can rely on, and he's just captured sort of the spirit of that region in a way that no other coach has captured that I have seen. And so I think they're also benefiting too. Let's be real. The Big 12's a mess. Okay. It's not a great conference. It's kind of milquetoast. It's, everybody's kind of the same. And I think that emotion and Dillingham's passion and the way that those kids are playing for him really puts them over the top. I think they're going to win the Big 12 championship game. I think they're going to the playoff.
And wouldn't their first round game be in Glendale?
They would, yeah, because they'd be a conference champion. They're probably going to be, higher than, I could see them as like a 7 or 8 seed.
That's great.
And, but they're going to, the fact that they would be in a playoff, come on. It's absurd. It might rain in the middle of the summer in Scottsdale before that happens again.
It's awesome, though. I mean, that's why we love sports, though.
Yeah, and here's what's going to happen.
These stories.
They're going to beat Iowa State, and Kenny Dillingham's going to be the first guy up on that goalpost ready to tear it down. Like that's
or ripping his shirt off. That's what he's going to do. John Canzano, brought to you by Zeke's Pizza. Best selection of pizzas and local Northwest craft beers. Visit Zeke'sPizza.com. Follow John on X at John Canzano BFT. He's also over there on Blue Sky. Search John Canzano. All of his work up at JohnCanzano.com. Radio show, Bald Face Truth down there in Portland, Oregon, 750 The Game. I'm sure we missed something. What do you want to promote up there on the website?
Well, it's a big week. It's championship week with high stakes. So just go to the site. You'll see it. Grab a free subscription. Grab a paid subscription. What works for you works for me.
Okay. All right. In case you missed any of this episode, it will be up there later, up on YouTube. Please go there and subscribe to the channel. Also on all the the podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts, and always one-stop shop up there at pucksports.com. John, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Puck.
Big thanks to John Canzano for joining us, as he does every single Tuesday. As I mentioned that before. We caught up with John early this morning because he's working on a piece that will be coming out, I think, later today or tomorrow. So I would check it out up there at johncanzano.com. If you're not subscribing to his website, johncanzano.com, it's just not college football. I mean, it's the human interest stories, the columns, the storytelling. It's just a fantastic, I don't even know what to call him, reporter, columnist, just writer, I guess. Also, when you're there, search up the Go-To Guy. The Go-To Guy has got a Substack right now, too. And he's so bad at literally promoting it that he has no idea how to do it. So listen, I'm going to do it for him. You go Jim Moore, the go-to guy, .substack.com. It's the same site where John does his work. I'll share it here on my screen. There it is. Cougs, chaos, uncertainty, and right now, I think he's doing it for free right now. So eventually that he'll pay for it, but right now he's doing it for free. But he's got a bunch of stories up there. I've always mentioned this before. I like to bust his balls all the time. I'll bust his balls tomorrow and make fun of him about everything. But Jim is no doubt one of the most talented columnists that I've ever read. And then again, for Canzano, he's unbelievable as well. Again, John Canzano, every single Tuesday with us, all brought to you by Zeke's Pizza. Big thanks to Zeke's Pizza, Dan Black. Appreciate you always being a sponsor of the show. Best selection of pizzas, local Northwest craft beers. Go visit Zeke'sPizza.com for more. And as I mentioned, go follow him on X. Read all of his work up at JohnCanzano.com. Follow him on X at John Canzano BFT. Also, John Canzano up there on Blue Sky there as well. Is John, again, just a treasure to have him on. I hope he's wrong about John Mateer. I just want John to stay. For God's sakes, man. Please stay. I don't need it. I don't need him leave. I don't need seeing another quarterback leave. I wasn't heartbroken about Ward leaving last year. I had just talked to so many people who had watched practice that were always so excited about Mateer and just telling me about what a different element he would bring and the leadership that he has. So I was always intrigued more about John Mateer. If he does leave, yeah, it's going to be a major bummer. I'm not going to sit there and go, well, next man up. I'm not going to play that card. I'll be bummed. I'll be really, really disappointed. No, not disappointed in him. And I know some of you will be. I'll just be disappointed that we're losing a real talented football player who's just a gritty college football player that gives everything out there on the field. I mean, everything. He's just exactly what you want. It's not just a quarterback. It's just what you want in a football player. He's just a football player. I sound like Chuck Knox. He's a football player. He just is. Everything about him, the leadership, the attitude, the laying his body on the line. He's just I've watched a lot of great quarterbacks at that school. You know, Drew Bledsoe and Ryan Leaf, and I'm going to miss somebody, Jason Gesser and Alex Brink and Luke Falk and, even Cam and I know I'm going to miss someone. I apologize. Anthony Gordon, all those guys, they were fun. I don't remember watching Ripon and Jack, so don't hold that against me. He to me is the most exciting one I've ever watched. And so if he goes someplace else, it's going to be a huge gut punch, I think, for a lot of Coug fans. And here's the deal. We need a win right now. we need a win in a big way. And so I hope he says, I hope he stays. If he does go, and if he does leave, I just understand it. And I know there's going to be many, many fans out there that won't. And they're going to talk about loyalty. And one thing that I'll say this, I was going to save it for tomorrow. And we'll talk about it on the Old Crimson podcast that will come out tomorrow. There'll be no Cougs Corner that's coming out tomorrow. We do have one final visit with Jake Dickert. I'm going to angle that hopefully next week. I wanted to get through recruiting, and I wanted to get through the portal. And there's a lot to catch up with him, but we will have one final end of the season wrap up with Jake Dickert. Oh, I knew I forgot somebody. Thanks, Jarrett. How did I forget this guy? How did I forget frickin' Gardner Minshew, man? I'm an idiot. More exciting player. Now, is Minshew a more exciting personality? Yeah. And that was awesome. But as terms of a player, no one more exciting to me than what I watched this year with John Mateer. And if it's the only year we get to watch him, that's going to just be an absolute bummer. All right, let's wrap up the show with Hey, What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. It's your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. They are a one-stop shop. They are great guys. They are just old school, just much like all the other guys, the Limback Lumber guys, and great guys there at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. All right. So give them a call today. Let them help you out. Best property restoration services there in North Seattle. Major League Baseball is considering a rule change that could happen here in the near future. And it's honestly not that far off. And it's called the Golden at-Bat Rule. And you're wondering, well, what the hell is the Golden at-Bat Rule? It's a story that appears in Jason Stark's story from The Athletic. Jason does a great job covering baseball. And it's been a discussion that has been going on for a while now. And it's starting to gain steam among baseball owners. And it started out of the WBC. And it started out of the matchup in the championship game, Japan versus U.S., when it was Shohei against Mike Trout. And the great theater that was. And it was awesome theater, what transpired between Ohtani and Trout, and obviously with Ohtani winning that battle. So Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, and these owners came up with the idea, wouldn't that be cool if we could do that all the time? And there's been some discussion about, let's implement this in the All-Star game. But now there's some discussion about implementing this in baseball. All right, what is it? What is the Golden at-Bat Rule? You would be able, once a game, to send your best hitter to the plate for an at-bat in every game, even if it wasn't their turn to hit. So, who's the Mariners' best hitter? Well, there's none. Cal Raleigh. Let's say Cal Raleigh. Screw it. Take somebody bigger. Yankees have their number 8 hitter, 9th hitter coming up. Okay? Game 7 of the World Series. Under this new rule, Aaron Boone could say, we haven't used it yet. We're going to use our Golden at-Bat Rule, please. And he could then take out whoever their 8th or 9th hitter is and put in Juan Soto or Aaron Judge. That's what they're thinking about changing. So again, each team gets to pick a one at bat at any point in the game. There's been some thought that you would use it for like the 7th inning or later. Now, initially, this has been brought up with an idea of also doing this in the All-Star game, which, again, it's an exhibition fine, do it in the All-Star game. There's also been this idea in the All-Star game to bring back in like the final inning, if in the description or the idea used was Emmanuel Clase's in there to close out the game, you bring up the 3 best hitters to face Clase at the end in the All-Star game. Okay, fine. But this Golden at-Bat Rule is being discussed by owners to implement in Major League Baseball. So dear Rob Manfred and the rest of baseball, can we just leave it alone? Is it possible to leave this sport alone? Can we just stop tinkering with it so much? It's been fine for so many years, and I get it. We want to make changes. But from the ghost runners and the pitching clocks and the disengagements and the blah, 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 got to face a minimum of 3 hitters and all this. I'm over all of it. I just want to watch and enjoy baseball again, like when I'm watching and coaching Little League. Can we just enjoy the game like real baseball? Can we get back to like real baseball? And I understand we need to placate to the attention deficit disorder young fan now. Why? Screw them. They're going to get older and they're going to appreciate the slower pace of the game. They will eventually because they're young. Eventually they're going to get older and they're not going to want it to be fast-paced anymore. I know I'm screaming at the clouds. I'm an old man. I get it. 48, soon to be 49. I just love normal, plain baseball. And I want to get back to that. I also like black coffee. Sometimes I put a little cream in it. Okay, fine. But I like a newspaper too. And I like to read a hardback. Okay, I don't like to read on a Kindle. Local television ratings are fine. Salaries are through the roof. People are coming out to the ballpark. Fan engagement is there. Stop chasing the NFL. You're never going to catch them. You're just never going to do it. Can we just enjoy our nation's pastime and get back to regular baseball? I started reading this book. Oh, let me grab it. I don't even know if you can see it. The glare's gonna be. Has anyone read the David Halberstam's terrific book, Summer of 1949? There it is, right there. Perfect. The gist of it is the story of the pennant race in 1949 between the Red Sox and the Yankees. It's unbelievable. It's a great book. I'm mad that I've taken this this long to read it. Pick it up today if you're looking for a book to read. Especially if you're a baseball fan. Again, I'm ashamed it's taken me this long to read it. It has made me appreciate the game even more after reading it. The long season, the heat of the summer, the live and die nature of a pennant race when you get into August and September, all of it. I know the game has evolved, but the core of the game needs to remain the same. This rule is so stupid. And if instituted, it cheats the game. Rob Manfred, leave the game alone. Stop it. Stop screwing around with it. All right, that's it for the daily puck drop, and that's Hey What the Puck, again brought to you by Restoration One there of North Seattle. A couple of housekeeping items, real quick. Mike Holmgren is a Pro Football Hall of Fame finalist. Thank God he should get in. Mike is a tremendous person. Honored to have worked with him for so many, many, many years and call him a friend. He is, so maybe we're a little biased. I don't think we're biased. He is a great football mind. He took two downtrodden franchises and made them relevant again. Okay, and won a Super Bowl, went to 3, should have won one here in Seattle. And look at his coaching tree, his influence on the sport. It's unbelievable. Can't wait. I hope he gets in. I think he'll get in. So that's awesome to see. Also, mentioned this yesterday on Twitter, X. High school football championships. Yeah, just because I'm not on the radio anymore doesn't mean I'm not doing them. I'll be a part of the NFHS WIA network. Coverage of the game coming up on Friday, doing the play-by-play for number 1 Bellevue and number 2 O'Day. I can't wait for it. 7 o'clock at Husky Stadium. Again, you can watch it on the NFHS network. We'll be doing it. And 7 o'clock kickoff at Husky Stadium. I can't wait to watch it. That game's going to take an hour and 30 minutes. I mean, I'm telling you, Monty Kohler, they don't pass the ball. The over-under is 7 passes in the game. Bellevue has thrown the ball 25 times this season. This is going to be old school ground and pound and 2 of the most storied high school programs in our state. And Michael Knipe, the head coach over there at Bellevue, and then, of course, Monty over at O'Day. 2 great programs and spitting out players left and right and just old school football. Looking forward to it. Check it out, 7 o'clock, NFHS network coming up this Friday, Husky Stadium 3A state championship. Really, really excited to be a part of that call and glad that I can continue doing high school sports. Also, as I mentioned before, please sign up and join the Puck's Posse community membership. Link is the QR code on your screen if you're viewing it. You can also go to pucksports.com. If you want access to all my content, don't want to miss a thing, I encourage you to become a full member. Members are going to get full access and VIP content. So, again, if you want full access, make sure you become a Puck's Posse community member. It is easy to sign up. It is a one-stop shop in order to do so. And this is you can just go there. You sign up $5 a month. Get a discount if you sign up for a year. Our Mariners Diamond Table is up. You got video of the Mariners Diamond Table is up, and also audio of the Mariners off-season Diamond Table that we did a few weeks ago. Then it's out there. So just $5 a month there to sign up to be a Puck's Posse community member. And again, if you want full access to everything that we do here, you got to sign up to be a Puck's Posse community member. And it's a deal. It's nothing. It's like going out to lunch like once or twice a month. That's it. It's like cut down on going out and spend your money on Puck Sports. All right, that's our show here for a Tuesday. Everything will be up later on YouTube. Go check it out. Please subscribe there. We need more subscribers. The more the merrier. It all helps there on YouTube. And then also all of today's show, including separating up all of the interviews, we separate them separately. That sounded so stupid. They're up there separately, okay? Along with the full show. Jesus, I'm a putz. Up there on YouTube, also Apple and Spotify, wherever you find a podcast. And, of course, always up at pucksports.com. Coming up tomorrow, we'll have the Old Crimson podcast that will be released. Also, our Wednesday guest, Rob Staten of SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Also, our good buddy, Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times. We'll talk to you then. As always, we promise to be better.
No shoes, no dice.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rob you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!